Dr. Leyland. Step into the future, the world is waiting now. Dreams are in the making, we'll show you how. From the books to the screen, from the stage to the stars. Level up your game, let's raise the bar. Innovation, inspiration, it's in our DNA. Breaking through the limits, we're paving the way. Level up, reach the sky, take the lead, don't be shy. Your story's worth it, your light will shine. At Level Up Academy, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. At Level Up Academy, we rise and climb. Empowered in your passion, your voice will be heard. Building a legacy with every word. From podcasts to pages, from business to art. Level Up's the place where it all can start. With heart and with vision, we're chasing every goal. Together we'll ignite the fire in your soul. Level up, reach the sky, take the lead, don't be shy. Your story's worth it, your light will shine. At Level Up Academy, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. At Level Up Academy, we rise and climb. Oh, we're trailblazing, breaking through the mold. Dreams are alive, let your story unfold. With courage and pride, we'll take the fight. At Level Up, we own the night. Level up, reach the sky, take the lead, don't be shy. Your story's worth it, your light will shine. At Level Up Academy, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. At Level Up Academy, we rise and climb. Let's level up and never look back. On the road to greatness, we're on the right track. Together we'll soar, together we'll thrive. At Level Up Academy, we're alive.
Woo! Hello, everybody. Happy midweek. I'm so glad you guys are here. I am super excited. Okay. When I have only one interaction with Tyler. Okay. That's full disclosure. You guys know I'm very honest and I'm very transparent with my guests. But here's what I'm getting and the vibe that I'm getting from Tyler. So humble. Like, I was blushing every time I was looking at, like, I love my people and my podcast, right? I curate them, to be honest with you. I want business people to learn. My mission is to level up the world through education. And someday I will be the Netflix of education in terms of having amazing people all over the world. For those of you who are listening to this on Fridays or Saturdays for the audio only, shout out to all 155 countries in 6 continents. However, if you do know a penguin who'd like to listen to a podcast, in my last continent, guys, please let me know, okay? I would love to say I am in 7 continents, but currently we are in 6. So I'm so proud to present to you today Tyler Dunagin. Now, before I introduce you to him, we are going to actually share. I am part of the board as a marketing strategist for confronting domestic violence. And I have wanting to share this video from our CEO, Agape. And here it is. I am going to share. All right. So let's go ahead and share her information and video, because she really is something that someone who really exemplify caring for the community, right? And so let me share this video to you from our CEO, Agape. Let's see if we can start this. Oh, Agape is Agape is pausing right now. Let's see if I can actually. Oh, her video is not going on. So that's okay, guys. So this is what's happening. CDV, or Confronting Domestic Violence, we actually are going to have an event in October. And it is actually to raise funds for those who we are helping in the community. We are actually trying to hit all national. Right now, we're in San Diego, California for Confronting Domestic Violence. So basically, the organization, or it's a nonprofit organization, we help families, and also especially moms, like single parents, to move from their current situation, right? And if you have ever been or know someone actually who have experienced domestic violence, it's a very difficult time, right? Not only emotionally, psychologically, but physically sometimes. It's just impossible. And then you turn on and mix with small children in that group, it's even worse. So what we do as an organization for nonprofit is to help those families. And we are on the listing of 211 already. We are working with organizations throughout United States, but we are in the hub of state of California. So thank you so much, Agape. All right, guys. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Okay. So RIP to Ozzy Osbourne yesterday. I met the family. My family met his family October of last year. We know some people in Hollywood here and there, but we go to lots of events. It's kind of like a Comic Con. And we had a chance to really chat with the family. They're actually very nice, especially Kelly. Shout out to Kelly Osbourne. She's amazing. She was so nice to my daughter. So those two kids, the girls in the black shirts, those are mine. Okay, I have a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old this year. I know I'm an old mama. And then my husband, and then of course the Osbourne. So RIP to them. And they actually encouraged me to continue on helping others to do podcasts for getting the world educated on life in general. So RIP Ozzy, I hope you are having a rock star moment up there. Okay, so thank you guys so much. I did write a book last year. I'm going to do number 2, Mike to Millions, the ultimate guide to starting your podcast with impact. So thank you guys so much for that. I appreciate you very much. Okay, so let's go back to Tyler. I want to talk so much more about Tyler. So here's the thing. When I researched Tyler, he's like nonchalant. We're in Inc. 5000. And I don't know if you guys know what Inc. 5000 is. It is a big deal, okay? This is a prestigious annual ranking published by Inc. magazine, showcasing 5,000 fastest growing privately held companies in the US based on their percentages. Okay, this is the criteria: percentages of revenue growth over a 3 period. Now, what does that mean? That means there's 5,000 companies, right? But the top 500, and this is, listen very carefully, pause me if you have to. The top 500 in Inc. 500 is the upper echelon of the list, and they're featured prominently in the magazine's September issue. Do you want to take a guess where Tyler's company is last year in 2024? Do you guys want to take a guess? He's like nonchalantly saying it like, oh, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal for business people like me who actually do research, right? I believe he was 459, and he'll correct me on this one, out of that list. What does that mean, CJ? What does that mean for me if I am a business owner? What does that mean for networking? What is that? It's a lot of meaning in there. But here's the thing, right? When you are looking for credibility and visibility, that boosts your brand reputation for media exposure automatically. And also the networking opportunities. I mean, honorees get access to the Inc. 5000 conference and award ceremony. This is like the hub for collaboration and deal making. And really, some people goes, I don't need a validation. You're right. But in business, validation is a powerful signal to investors, to partners, to clients, and really top talent that your company has tangible momentum. So you know why I'm so excited to have him here, right? Like, wow, I want to pick his brain. Okay, guys. So we're going to go and start having Tyler Dunagin here. Oh my gosh. Okay, here he is. Are you guys ready? I hope so. Tyler, are you ready? He's going to give me a thumbs up. I'm sure of it. Yes, he is. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, thank you. Wow, that's quite the intro. You should do all of my videos for me. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, maybe we can collaborate. I literally am. I do research first before I'm one of those people. My background is I love research and applied science. So I love researching people because a lot of people don't really tell themselves in a whole big picture that maybe is a big deal to others, and you don't see it as a big deal because you see it as just one of your achievements because you're just that awesome, right? And so as a publicist, I was like, I know how to put him in. Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Tyler, for being here. I actually have a very first question for everyone and all of my guests, and this is my first question. Think back 20 years ago and find within your timeline some of those significant changes in your life that got you here where you are today.
Okay. Sorry, is it me? Am I good?
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, I wasn't sure. I think so when I think back 20 years ago, so for reference, I am 35 right now. That's 15, big age, right? You're about to start driving and whatnot. So for me, where I was in my life, the most captivating thing was probably my sports world. And that's when I started playing. That's when I really learned what it meant to be a teammate. That's when I learned what it meant to be a leader and truly work hard for something, even as young as 15. When you're that age, you don't have a career that you're trying to ring the bell in. You don't have a massive family that you're trying to support. You just have what's available to you. And for me, that was definitely the sports world and trying to be the best version of myself that I could have been. And so I think that, just going through that process of getting competitive with sports and, that was like early high school, like in, just really training and everything else going on and what went into it. That early just cadence and rhythm really kind of lasted an impression on me to where I am today. Because you think about it, you think of what goes into who you are in that space, right? And you think about everything that you do, it consumes your life. And you learn, how to get through hard times. You learn how to motivate others, how to motivate yourself. You learn how to take care of yourself and achieve goals. And I think that has stuck with me throughout my entire career and my journey in all these companies that I'm involved with. And I think that taught me a lot of kind of the core of what made me up initially, was just that competitive drive and that camaraderie and that team first atmosphere. And that still sticks with me today through everything I do.
I was going to say, I was like, wow, should I even ask 20? Because Tyler is so young. But here's the thing. I think the foundation, and I do have 13-year-olds that watch our YouTube channel. So they are driven to know because I talk psychology, I talk business, and I talk just humanity, period, right? And what are some of the things like when you started saying, okay, this is what I want to do, and where you are today? Because think about the Inc. 5000 that I just like foundational conversation, right? To qualify for this list, you have to be privately held. Obviously, your company is, and not publicly traded or a part of a larger organization, and you have to be independent and a minimum threshold of at least 100,000 on year one, and then growing to at least 2 million by 3 years, right? So that's a big deal. And that's also demonstrating significant revenue growth over the 3 years. So there's got to be, you're talking numbers, but also that mindset that I wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit, right? What does it take to really saying this is what I want to do, or is it something like you just kind of stumble upon and you're like, guys, let's just do it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a few things. For me, when before I got into my business, I was in a similar business in the residential space, flipping houses, and I kept on telling myself like, "Hey, this is fine, this is fun, but I just need a little bit more." And I needed more volume, I needed more scale, I needed more predictableness, and so I was kind of coming off of this experience to where I had made a cool business doing some residential things and flipping houses and working with investors. But what I realized is I created a full-time job for myself, and I started every single one of my working days and weekends at Home Depot or at some house that I was flipping. And so I really think that that left an impression on me. And I said, hey, I want something that I could scale into. And luckily for me, that was kind of multifamily. And so as far as the Inc. 5000 goes, I think that that's a byproduct of some of my earlier ambitions of what I wanted. I wanted to be able to reach more people, make a larger impact, have a larger team, and really just ring the bell and have a great time with my team around me. And so I think that's kind of a byproduct of my early intentions. I wanted to cast a wide net. I wanted to be able to scale. I read a bunch of books before I launched Turn, and all of them were around being able to exit a company someday, who knows, maybe IPO a company someday. And so I go into it with this like what if mindset, and just thinking how cool it would be if we got there someday. And I think that I was upfront with my team about that. I never once said, hey guys, we want to pay our bills this month and that's it. I want to be in multiple states. I want to do a bunch of things and help a lot of people. And I think that that just left an early impression on the entire team as well. So we went into it definitely with hey, how can we scale this thing? How can we make a big impact? What's that look like for us? And that was kind of intentional that we did it that way, again, because of that first experience where I did something that was kind of hard to scale and it required my full attention 24/7.
And I think that is the journey itself that people don't find sexy at being an entrepreneur. That you just said that 24/7, right?
Yeah.
When you're a business owner, you literally don't sleep because you're trying to figure out how you can scale. But also, you weren't afraid. And I love that you use the word intentional, right? And here's the thing that I wanted to inspire. I'm all about inspiration to all business owners and entrepreneurs out there. When you are in that moment of despair, you're like, oh, it's so close. I can just feel it and smell it. Yet it's so far. What would be your like ultimate saying? Like, how do you do that? Most people just said, keep going. But what did you do to actually scale your company to that level?
Yeah, I think the big thing to start with is going back to understanding your why, and understanding why you're doing something in the first place. Why are you spending effort and energy on it? And sometimes like you get caught up in the day to day and you wear a lot of hats and all these kind of things. And there's times where overwhelm is a routine thing just because there's new things to learn, there's new places to go, you name it. And sometimes you do get caught up in those day to day situations. And so for me, I do a lot of grounding exercises. I talk to coach often, and it just you kind of reflect on your journey. Hey, how far have we came? Like, look how much progress we've made so far. We've grown from where we were 4 years ago to where we are today. The next level seems a little bit out of reach, but you kind of learn that that's kind of part of the mindset that you have to have. If you set goals that are super comfortable all the time, they should be achievable. Don't get me wrong. But if you're constantly playing in this field where you're super comfortable, you're not going to grow as a person. And so for me, what I like to do is really just reflect and just remember why I'm doing what I'm doing, and just reassure myself like, hey, I've done this before on a smaller scale. It's just everything I've done so far, just replicate a little bit more. And you kind of learn yourself as you go. When you need to kind of take a breather. You know yourself well enough to know when you have to kind of ramp it up a little bit. And so when something seems out of reach, that's when I know it's probably worth pursuing, because if it felt like it was just right next to me, it's probably not as impactful as something that might be a little bit more harder to achieve, so to say. So I kind of like that journey, but it's definitely been a thing that was forged in just having to go through it, forcing myself through it. And early on, I didn't love that feeling all the time, but you kind of get used to it. And so for me, I just remember my why I started and how far we've came and how much more we have to do yet. And that really keeps me going.
I love that. Now, my next question is, what's the big picture vision behind TurnSir? We're going to talk about your company now, okay?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to build a technology-driven service model specifically for apartment turnovers?
So for me, I was actually in the apartment management space. So I started off single family real estate. I was encouraged to get into multifamily, but I didn't know anything about it. And so I started working in the industry just to learn it. And I was learning it, and I had a high level role in multifamily. Everything went really smooth except for finding vendors and suppliers at scale that we needed. And so for me, I was trying to just bridge this gap that we had, this need, this operational deficiency where we just couldn't find certain teams. And so I essentially built TurnServe to fulfill my own management needs. And in that space, everything is quick, everything is last minute, it has to be done on time, budgets are tight, and it can't take a million people to do something. And I always said, like, hey, if I just had a way to schedule these services to be done and it was autonomous, or if I was able to collect these invoices and I didn't have to think twice about like calling somebody to do it, that would be amazing. And so for me, I knew that starting a service-based business initially was just the framework of it, but the real magic would happen when it was tech enabled and it spoke the language of our end users, and it just made their lives convenient. So I'm a firm believer that convenience sells every time. And I was trying to resolve an issue that I was having on the management side. And so I essentially became that vendor just to fulfill my own need. And it worked very well. And I ended up leaving corporate America to do that for others because it was impactful and whatnot. But really it was out of necessity. It absolutely had to be done that way because there wasn't enough time in the day to have people sit there manually counting on hands and whatnot and calling people and what have you. So for reference, an average turnover company might turn 5 units a month, give or take. We're in the hundreds, if not thousands a month. And so you really do need that tech-enabled portion behind you in the systems, processes, people, all those kind of things just to achieve the goal.
Yeah, I love Beverly Neil Clinton here. She's a veteran, but she lives in, she was one of my guests as well. She lives in, I believe, Los Alamos. She's a county counselor, and she says, young people, no fear. He is bold. I love it. This is why I pick brains of bright people, right? Like, amazing. I am so blessed. And we also have my brother here, Leo. He's a tech guy in Sacramento. And of course, my brother, Mike, he is a CEO and founder of Hounds of Business Community. This is the only community that I belong to. I definitely should hook you guys up. Now, my next question is, TurnServe. We're going to talk about that as well. You grew almost 1,000%, okay, over 3 years and landed a spot on Inc. 5000. What was the key pivot or decision that sparked that, like, let's just grow really fast?
Yeah, and this is one of those moments to where I'm having it right now, where you get so caught up in the moment, you don't stop to reflect as much as you should, and then you're like, "Wow, we did grow by 1,000%. That was a journey." And so for us, I think that just that key moment, that pivotal moment, was just client demand. And really we had no choice. Like you go into entrepreneurship and you want demand, you want to be, hey, like people can trust me to do this. For our client base, there was such a big need, and it was so predictable, and they just had such a shortage. We were just getting bombarded with requests for services and help and support and all those kind of things. And so for us, my only alternative would have just been, hey, sorry, I can't help you. Like, got to go find somebody else. But, when you have all your eggs in one basket and you want to grow the company, you just find a way to make that happen. And I remember there's probably one moment where I realized that this was going to really work. And that's like my first month that I was out of corporate America and doing this. And I remember sitting there and I said, hey, cool, if I got 7 services to do this month, I pay the bills and I live. But then the following week, we had like 30 apartments submitted to do. And that was that moment where I just kind of realized, like, oh, wow, this is going to work. And then some, because I still wasn't doing sales at that time. I still wasn't like actively hiring, so to say. It was just kind of like feeling this out. But I remember that moment to where it went from excitement to sheer panic and trying to figure out how I was going to do something to keep up with the demand. So just reflecting back on it, I think that was like a moment that you realize. And the real big kicker for me, and when I finally the whole team decided just to turn the corner and go, was when we took our initial investment from outside investors, because at that point it's kind of, hey, they have an agenda, they have a goal. We have to grow this company. We want to anyways. It was symbiotic. But once we got investment, that's when everything kind of clicked and became super real. And we realized that the impact we can make can extend far beyond what any of us ever thought. So a lot of things that I could reflect on, but those are probably two big key moments.
I like when you're like, yeah, I can do this, and then rapid sheer, like, okay, panic, what's going on? What's gonna happen? I
Yeah.
love that. But it's in that moment of panic that you can either grow or die, right? It's like, are we gonna run or are we just gonna keep crawling, right? And you decided to run with it. And I was reading also, I mean, I did a lot of reading, okay? Like colleague capital, you live in Ohio, and they're like, okay, this is where you're gonna be. Now we haven't really talked about your community that you're serving. Like, who is the community that you're serving right now? I know that this is more of like an apartment and multi-family, but you're doing what you do, flooring installations,
Yeah.
pretty much bathtub, right?
Yep. So our community is really those overwhelmed property managers that manage big apartment complexes in every major city. Property owners, property managers, and also their maintenance teams around them. That's really who we're serving the most and who we do the most life with.
Yeah. And so let's talk about liquid liner.
Yeah.
And how actually, that went into this. So what was your thought process behind developing that proprietary products like liquid liner and product management pro rather than outsourcing the solutions?
Yeah. So I like to do things within arm's reach, and I just like to stay busy and do things and make, try to just really do convenient things for our customers. The quick summarized version of this was, so we are a few different brands on our platform. We have like you said, we have a painting company, we have flooring company, products now, and one day the summarized version is, we were painting a complex and my crews couldn't service a unit. And, so I sent them away. And then the next day it was the same thing, same apartment complex. And it was weird because it was such a good client of ours and the Stormy Smooth. I went to go check it out, and I realized that there was another company there doing this refinishing process using a very outdated and harmful product. And we couldn't do our services because of the amount of disruption. They were spraying these things on. There was air movers. He was in a hazmat suit. It was pretty bad. And I just remember thinking, like, one, I was curious more than anything, like, what is this person doing here? So I hung around and talked to that person for as long as he would let me. And I said, oh, cool. Like, maybe I could do this a little bit better. One, it's stopping our current solutions. So if I could problem solve this, at least we can be smooth and don't disrupt our own operations. But the likely outcome is I can build a better product or a better process. At least I didn't go into it wanting to build a product initially. It was, I want to do this process a little bit more efficient than others. And then, so we did it. We tested every product on the market that was available to us at the time. All of them had trade-offs from high VOC to, they required multiple coats or hours between coats. Multifamily, we don't have the convenience of time. It has to be quick, it has to be now, and it has to last. And so I essentially couldn't find that product or that system. And so I did some research. I reached out to a bunch of smart people around the space, and I said, hey, here's the features I need in a product. Here's that it absolutely cannot be. And so back and forth over the course of 70 iterations of this product, now we have it was third-party tested to be the best in class against the products we tested against. We got 10 out of 10 scores, and the next closest product was 6 out of 10, and that's ones that you see in every big box retailer wherever you go. And so that's kind of how I stumbled into being a product creator. It was just out of just curiosity initially, and just being available to us to try. And so we kind of have a cool, unique setup. But again, that speaks to some of our culture and how we are around, as team members. We're always looking to innovate. We're always looking to push the envelope. And if you would have asked me 3-4 years ago if I would have a product like I do today, absolutely not. But your journey in life kind of takes you. You just keep on walking on it, and next thing you know, like, you end up where you are, and who knows what's next. So that's a quick version of how I stumbled into our own products.
I love it. And, for those of you guys, I'm getting questions somewhere else in here other than what's the question in there saying, hey, what the heck is turn serve, right? Can you explain a little bit about turn serve?
Yeah, so and it's a very specific name for the multifamily space. Again, that's where I play ball at. So apartment communities. Picture when a renter moves out and then somebody else moves in. That sounds simple, but you have a few days to completely flip an apartment from the flooring to the painting to the cleaning. And all of that sounds fine and dandy. But the reality of it is each community has hundreds of units and more than 50% of renters move every single year. So you can imagine the sheer amount of volume just in need of services. So it creates a very tight window. It's chaotic and it's necessary to get these apartments refilled. And so what TurnServe is, it is a one-stop solution for multifamily managers to call on, and we'll come in there with our brands and our solutions, and it's one phone call, it's one company. We will completely turn over these apartment units and give it back to them, and we're quick, convenient, and we do the best work that I know of. And so in a nutshell, that is what TurnServe is. And today it's a platform of brands, and we're just scaling and building and adding on and all those things. So really it's just a one-stop turnkey solution for property managers.
Thank you for explaining that.
Of course.
Yes, definitely. And I love that. And because now we know exactly what TurnServe is. So this is TurnServe, guys. This is turnserve.com. And I'll put the link over as well. Now, my next question is, how are you leveraging AI in your operations? And how do you see it shaping the future of multifamily property management in the next 5 years? The reason I ask this question is because I'm an educator, and half of educators are afraid of AI, the other half are embracing it. But in reality, we actually partner with businesses like yourself or others to help our students understand the future, right? It's either you're going to serve the future or you're going to stay here in the present, and that's it.
Yeah. So right now, I'm a huge AI advocate. Like I use it daily. But here's my take on it. I think right now it enables a human interaction more than anything. Who knows what AI 5 years from now is going to look like? Trust me. I have these visions of it being incredible and it's everywhere. I also have visions of it to where it's not quite as fast. It's probably 10 years out before things really change. But we use it daily, and I look at it from an accuracy and speed component and a quality of life for my team. If I can achieve those things, if I can increase those things, I'm winning with it. If I can improve my manager's day and remove 3 hours of just routine tasks by simply using an AI software, we're going to do it. Quality of life is massive for us because that impacts the entire organization. So we're big on how things feel and the culture of the organization. And I use AI more for that than anything else today. Now, we are also using it for list building and data sorting and all of these kind of things, research questions, those things do come as well. On the sales side, from our outbound calls to some of our ad placements and everything else, you see more and more AI involved. So I think specifically for us, that's, we're using it to assist our team more than anything else today. And it's slowly making its way to penetrating with our clients as well. As far as how it relates to property management in the next 5 years, autonomous is the word that I'll use to describe what I think it'll be. Again, multifamily management, it's a lot of data. It is a lot of moving parts. It is a lot of people in need of a lot of things in a tight time frame. I think AI comes in and creates that convenience and predictableness and just automates more than anything else autonomously. So autonomously creates convenience. Convenience creates quality of life. I think that we will always go to what feels better for us as humans, no matter how we shape it. That could be Uber when it was a new thing and that fear mindset, but now it's a click on your phone and all of a sudden your ride's there. I think the same concept for AI, whatever ends up giving us the most convenience and quality of life is what we will tend to go to as humans. So I am very optimistic about AI in the future for everything, especially multifamily, because that industry needs it. It's big, it's necessary, and the managers have a tough job. So I'm excited for them to get more and more involved with AI.
I love that. Thank you. I the whole theme that I'm seeing based on what you're saying, especially, having 3 hours back to your people, is adaptability, right? If you actually dive into the uncomfortable, because we don't know what we don't know, but best believe that you have their best interests, it's going to go better, right? They've seen you lead your company and organizations to that scale. So why not trust this new process. Now, talking about scaling, a lot of people are, scaled, right? You've said scaling requires systems and culture, but not hustle. I was listening to some of your podcasts. How do you balance data-driven ops with maintaining human connection? Because that's really important as we move on with the future of AI and automation and things like that. How do you do that?
Yeah, my opinion is it always comes back down to purpose. And if we lose sight of that, we kind of turn into this machine. And that's fine. But as far as a human connection goes, I think it's critically important because there's things that you can't measure that come from that human connection, right? And it goes back to culture and how it feels at work, because your clients feel that. Obviously, you feel that you perform better when things are going, when you feel secure and whatnot. So I think the biggest thing for us is, yes, we are KPI heavy. We have clear targets of what we want to do, and we find ways to achieve those things. But really, I think that at the end of the day, it comes back to the camaraderie in the group's initiative, so to say, the mission. What are we trying to achieve here? If you don't know your purpose as a business owner, you're going to struggle. You're going to spin your wheels a lot. We actually work with a coach routinely on this. Shout out Rodolfo. He has completely helped transform our organization, and it's things that you already know, but you just don't realize. Here's what I mean by that. Every single day, like for me, I was trying to solve my pain of managing apartments and like, hey, this can't transpire any longer, so I'm going to solve it for me. And that ended up being my mission to help others as well. Like, hey, let me make your life more convenient. I know it's stressful. Let's try this out. And with your own team as well. I think that you have to have a very clear understanding of what you're doing. Our purpose today is to beautify, our purpose at TurnServe is to foster well-being by beautifying spaces. And you think about what goes into that as far as fostering well-being, right? We truly mean that, because if we just said, hey, we want to paint better than anybody else, no buy-in, no connection, that's great. Like, it's short-lived. But when we talk about camaraderie, we talk about why we do what we do, it's a much different story. And so I think everything that we do, like I said it earlier on in this, AI systems, everything like that, it is to improve the quality of life for the people in the organization. And if we focus on that, connectivity is going to be huge. So it's really just a list of priorities and when you put the people side of the street first, your purpose, your core values, your culture, and you actually live and defend those things, that's where you get that connection. When you just do things as a superficial, topical kind of like, hey, here's our core values, are on the wall, we don't enforce them, but they sound cool, you're going to lose. So human connection all comes back down to how somebody feels at the end of the day.
I love that. You lead from the heart. And that's why we get along. And that's why I'm like, I got to do Zoom first. I don't know who Tyler is. Like, when you read someone, it's just a cold information. Yep. But it's important to me to have that vibe, because then it would be awkward talking on live, right? Like, so that's why I'm like, oh, I love Tyler, because he has heart and he talks about culture. And I love leadership conversation and psychological safety conversations. This is one of the questions I think that were asked on your podcast as well, is can you describe a moment when you saw psychological safety and vulnerability actually shift behavior in your teams? Because it's important. Like, you have this vision, but if you don't have a core team that you trust decisions, because you can't be there 24/7 for everything, every single thing. Right. So you have to trust your teammate that they have the best interest. And like you said, they need to know that the culture is open, but also like you have their back and you defend their values, right? So how would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's 1,000 examples a week from just somebody coming into the office and just having an open conversation of, hey, I feel like I'm underperforming. Can you help me out here? And it's a vulnerability that's working together on something, right? And this is going to sound a little different at first, but I'll bring this full circle here for a moment. So as far as a moment when I saw psychological safety was, again, it goes back down to kind of defending operations and making milestones and targets clear for people. Because when things are unknown, if somebody's waiting on their heels all day long, they are constantly activated. They're going to be guessing if they're doing a good job or not. So one thing that we actually did was be very clear on our goals, right? No matter what it might be, from financial goals to team related goals, you name it, when we kind of got very clear on what we're actually looking for and working towards, and we shared those things with the rest of the team, I literally saw everybody just be more clear, be more concise, and be more just, A to B. And they weren't so just kind of sporadic, so to say. And so I think that is probably like the deep core part of just being very clear about expectations and letting people do what they're good at, just staying out of the way and trusting them as long as they're kind of on point. Amazing. And so we see that every single day in our results and our team members and whatnot. I mean, at this point, we have to, because there's no way I can do every single role, and I trust my team immensely. They perform better, when I'm in the other room. So, those kind of things tell me like things are really going well. So it's a 1,000 little wins. It's never really one big one for us. And I can go down the list, but every single day, it's just this openness and just clear communication of expectation, understanding, and it's never against each other. It's always trying to problem solve. So just every day I walk into the office, I feel that, and I feel like the camaraderie here. That's when I know it's right. So that to me is psychological safety for a lot of the team members. Just taking out that guess and that panic and everything else that normally hangs around corporations. Like, hey, am I doing a good job? Are they happy with me? Are they not? We nip that in the bud, so to say. So that I see it every single day, and just being vulnerable. Like as far as that goes, we have weekly roundtables, and I don't need to be told I'm right all the time. I will propose 3 ideas, and I see it every single week. My team will tell me, hey, Ty, really good effort. You're missing the point here. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that to me, like, I'm vulnerable with my team. I tell them when I am completely just overwhelmed or I have no clue what's going on, and they can kind of pick up the baton and run with it. And in return, they are also that way with me versus trying to just like wing it and guess if it's going to be okay. So I think that kind of starts with leadership as well, from the safety to being vulnerable and showing that it's okay to have communication like that. So we see it every single day at TurnServe.
I love that you hit communication, because that was my next question.
There you go.
I love it. I love it. So here's the thing. Remember, I told you we're aligned. I'm like, okay, we have the same wavelength. Now, as TurnServe actually exploded from like startup hustle into rapid expansion, right? Was there a particular strategy or ritual? You actually kind of said like, we do a weekly hustle, or like a powwow, or communication tactic, right? That you lean on heavily to keep your team growing, aligned, and trusting with crystal clear, like, this is our vision. Because here's the thing that I have experienced, okay, working with teams for a long time, literally over 20 years. Communication is the foundation of everything. Every single one of us is going through something every day, right? And so if you are in a team, right, in a group, and I'm like, CJ, you're wrong. Nobody wants to be wrong, but if you don't trust that person, you don't have belonging, right? You don't feel like you belong in that organization. You're just another worker. How do you make sure you keep them aligned? Like, that is what, here's my question really in a short version is, what help you keep clarity and trust intact as TurnServe scale faster? Because I know like Mike is going to scale his organization as well, right? But it's that pivoting moment, like, sheer panic, like, where am I going? So what is that like essence for you?
Yeah. And it starts with clear expectations and manage expectations up front, first and foremost, and just getting ahead of things before they happen, and really just over communicating. So I mentioned that I do a lot of coaching, right? That's not me coaching others. That's me getting coached. Every week I do these things. And anytime we do things like transitions, or we acquire a company, we want to test a new market, we can be very clear about, the goals and the KPIs. But what I find my coach always telling me is, if something goes wrong, it's always, hey, how'd you do articulating the vision of this? And I'm like, I kind of skimped. And like clockwork, there's a correlation between me not showing, everything that I have, or, hey, here's what I want, out of this, here's how I envision it for us. Here's what it looks like. So I really think that speaks to just communicating. So for scale communication, like obviously you hear things like there's L10 meetings and there's roundtables and all these things. It's important to have clear, concise KPIs and initiatives and whatnot. But for me, it came back down to vision more than anything else. How do I envision the company today? How do I envision it tomorrow? What steps do we need to take it as an organization to get there? Because if I have something in my mind, which trust me, I had to learn this the hard way, and I'm still learning this and reminding myself of this often. If I have a vision here and I'm thinking about it for months, and then I tell the team about it in an hour and I expect them to be aligned with me, I'm setting everybody up for failure. And so I really go back down to just articulating the vision, being vulnerable with one another, and just having clear targets, a clear mission, a clear game plan, and just being upfront with each other. If we're off point, okay, that's okay. Why are we off point? We've had to, on the worst extreme side of things, we've had to have open conversations. Somebody's asked to be repositioned with us, and that's amazing. We set them up for success somewhere else. Somebody's not in their best role. They're still good people. We'll find a new role for them. But it all comes back down to just being upfront with one another. And so clear KPIs, definitely a thing. Manage expectations up front, incredibly important. But really just articulating that vision over and over and over again, and don't assume that your team knows. If the example for us, if somebody came on to be a painting company, and in my head I'm like, we're far from a painting company, like that's one of our levers, but we're so much more. If I never shared those other things, they would think that we kind of stopped there. And when I mentioned products or software or whatever it might be, they might say, oh, that's a weird thing for a painting company to do, right? And so instead it just goes back down to constantly saying how you envision this and the roadmap for your team to get there.
I love it. They're not just the outcome, they're part of the process and the journey, which to me actually is a good stake, because then they feel like they belong and they have a say on how you're going to grow, right? So I love that. How do you ensure your cultural values remain authentic when you're hiring hundreds of technicians and scaling nationwide?
Yeah. So initially, when the team was smaller, so I'm big on collaborating with the team. Like I'm big on them buying in. I view it as I have an opinion, and it might be biased or flawed. I'm curious to see my team's opinion on this. And so we initially talked about core values and what makes us who we are. We talk about our purpose. We talk about our vision. We talk about all of those things. And the team embraces that. And all the organization is a group of people that are marching in the same direction, trying to support one another with a common goal in mind, right? And so now when we hire, so I truly mean this, as far-fetched as this sounds, it works every single time. When you hire and fire based off of core values, embracing them or not, that's when you really can scale and not lose your identity, so to say. I'll give you an example. So we're acquiring a flooring company, and integration is a massive part of this whole process. In our employment agreement, obviously, compensation is important and all those kind of things. Trust me, I agree 1,000%. But 2/3 of our employment agreement is just around expectations around our core values and embracing and defending those. And if anything changes, that's fine, but we got to communicate those things. So our big focus is just around just managing those things up front and just making sure that we are living and making choices based off of what we support, because it's really easy to get overwhelmed. But if you stop and just remember, hold on, let me reflect back on why we're doing this, or these core values or our purpose, it's really easy to make decisions. So for us, it's embedded. It was embedded early. It was embedded when we were smaller. And that doesn't mean that larger organizations can't do it, but we definitely have to enforce it every single day, defend it vigorously. And that's what really makes things click.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. I'm like, just squeeze them in there, right?
Yeah.
If you are a company, an organization right now, like advice, right? I know you're getting coached, but now you're coaching us based on your experience. We're getting freebies here. I love it. Here's the thing. If someone was trying to scale their business up, right, and they want an investor to look at them, what is the key to getting someone to believe in your vision before the numbers prove it? Is there such a way?
Yeah, it's a tough one. So I think that to get somebody to believe in your vision, I think the first thing that they have to see in you is passion. And it's great to kind of, go to trends and whatnot. But if you're just constantly on the new hot thing, then you put it down, you're on the next thing. Look, investors kind of see that. In getting people to buy in, either high level employees or early money or whatever it might be. Look, it's a balancing act, really. But I think that at the end of the day, you need to show that you are completely just excited and it's not temporary, right? And I think that that passion really shows through when you talk about your company. And I'm not saying fake it, but like if you're passionate about it, it'll show. If you're high energy about something, it's going to show. And so I think really just the vision is it's all on you as that early person. It's on you as a CEO. It's on you as a founder and to carry that and be purposeful and all those kind of things. But then really, I think that you need to speak from their perspective. If a lot of the times founders, they want to talk about their business idea and how clever it is and how many, it's going to do this, and this, and that's great. We're raising money. Here you go. I think a lot of the times, sometimes, and I'm guilty of this myself, we lose sight of why somebody might want to invest, and we lose sight of what their needs are. And so a lot of the times, if you could ask, them, what do they look for in a potential partner? What are their needs? If you could just ask simple questions and make them understand perspective wise, you are also trying to make sure it checks boxes for them. That is really going to get some buy-in, just because they think that you think this thing, all the way around, if that makes sense. So tough task and circumstantial sometimes, but it really comes back down to passion and being able to have perspective of what's beyond my needs. What about their needs? And that's going to go a long way.
Yeah, it's not a one way, right?
Correct.
Okay, promise. Second to the last question.
Okay.
What's one mistake you see founders make when trying to attract capital?
Yeah, so I'll continue that first part of that my answer from the last question. The main thing founders do when the one mistake founders make when they try to raise capital, in my opinion, is they have such a founder bias, but they can't think of the negatives. They can't be realistic about competitors. Hey, there's no competitors here. I'm the best product. We have no risks. There, we did a SWOT analysis. There's nothing negative. That is, again, it goes back, and it's tough because we're talking about our own emotions, right? We need to have passion. We need to be purposeful. We need to have all those things. And inherently, those things can make us blind to potential pitfalls. We don't even want to talk about them or see them, but you have to be really realistic about, hey, what are my flaws? Where are we vulnerable at? And if you know your vulnerabilities just as well as your perks or your salient features, you're going to win. And so I see like clockwork. A lot of the times founders, they're close to a situation and they think that there's a massive market for it. They think that their solution is the only one available. If they would spend 10 to 15 minutes of searching, they'd find other things. So really just being able to identify, it's okay to have founder bias. I have founder bias, but as long as you're aware of that and you can kind of talk from another perspective, you can get around it. But that is probably the most detriment when I see early founders trying to raise money, is they are just so focused on the good stuff. Investing is hedging bets. Like, what about the downside? What's the worst case scenario? When you talk about attracting capital and you're just talking about the good things that can go right, you're really setting this thing up for failure. Like, you really need to be able to see worst case scenario, and not even just for investors, but for yourself too. Where are you vulnerable at? What are the risks? Where can this thing fall off at? You need to know those things.
I love that. I do have founder bias. I think we all do. I'm like, wait,
of course.
What do you mean? I'm the best at sliced cheese,
Right.
Oh my gosh, I love this conversation. Okay, so second to the last, I said, right? No. This is the second to the last. Okay, years from now, when someone looks back at the story of Turnster, right? I'm a big storyteller. I love stories. Yeah. What's the one thing you hope they remember or say about the impact you made?
I hope that somebody looks at us and they see the positive impact we made by making our end users' lives better. I hope that they look back and they say, wow, like, this was a very tough thing to do. Like, Turn really made a big impact with us. Things are convenient. They're steady. They really improve quality of life, not even just for the end user, but also the opportunities for the team members and every company that we are acquiring. I really just hope that they look back and they say, like, wow, like these These guys really cared about the people they're serving and the people they're doing it with. And I hope that they see it as we created an incredible solution and a lot of opportunities for a lot of people. That is the best case scenario for me.
So confident. I love it. You're like, hey, I got this, CJ. I love this. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna actually end this conversation with a personal question that I usually, well, all the time that I ask my guests. Okay, and take a moment. If this is your last day today on this earth, because tomorrow's not guaranteed, we know this, right?
Yeah.
What would be your parting message to your current and future families, not your business people, but your future families, in terms of living life, legacy, and impact?
That's a very deep question. There's a lot here. I would go back to this, and I think about this from time to time. The general answer is, pursue your happiness, but I'll go deeper than that. I think the big thing is think your own thoughts is probably the biggest thing. And I don't just mean from a business perspective. Yes, like that's important for it, but think your own thoughts, like what you like, and don't feel like you need to buy into things, so to say. Like if you really just pursue your own happiness and you try to fill your own bucket and don't expect others to do it all the time, that's where you're going to win at. I think that is probably, that's going to be a legacy that's healthy. That's going to be an impact, because when you're your authentic self, you give better output to the world around you. You're just a very productive person, so to say. So to summarize it, think your own thoughts and be your own person, and just do things that make you happy. Don't do them for others. That's 100% what I would leave it with.
I love it. Do for yourself. Yes. And I think that you're definitely inspirational in so many ways. Even if you don't think it, I'm going to say it. The reason being is because I do 50 inspirational connections. This is my 3 years actually doing it. It's a freebie for the community. I love to give. I don't have millions of dollars, but I love to give my time and effort. And I use my platform to actually highlight people like yourself, right? Amazing people there who's inspirational. And you're still spring chicken. That's how I see it. Like, you're still spring chicken. And so I love that you are doing that. And you're definitely going to have a couple of people trying to hook you up right now on LinkedIn. Mike Asherbetter is my brother from another sister there, another mister.
Okay.
We actually just kind of like, he makes fun of me on my show and I make fun of him in his show. But
There you go.
he is the CEO of Hounds of Business Community. There's a lot of business people in it. And then, of course, my sister, Susanna, because we write a book and publish a book all the time. And she's definitely going to. And my sister, Danielle, is going to be in there as well, because they love this conversation, because you are very not only positive, but you have wisdom that you don't think that you have. I feel that. For some reason, I'm feeling that. Like, it's not even more of a humble thing, because humble is like you're aware that you're saying something, but for you, you just comes out from your heart. And I love authenticity, right? So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for giving us so many amazing golden nuggets. And it's not easy to be intentional on what you're doing and what you're passionate about, and said, okay, I'm going to grow 1,000% and be a millionaire in 3 years. Like, no one that I know would want to be there and get that, like you said, and I love the vulnerability that you said, like, hey, I was in panic mode because I didn't think that I could do it, but now you're doing it. And I think that's what our next chapter of our book is, having that journey, right? Because most people like to talk about the beginning and then the end, which is the outcome now. But nobody wants to talk about the journey of getting there, right? The messy side. And so thank you for sharing those messy side with us, because I appreciate those. My people appreciate those. My team replay appreciate those. Any last message for anyone who's watching us on replay or live right now?
No, just honestly, same thing I said in the last thing. Just truly do what makes you happy. Like, pursue your own thoughts all the time. And if there's an idea that you have, explore it. If there's something you've been holding off, really do something tough today. Just do it for you. And today's the day to do it. You just have to start. You just have to take that swing, take initiative, and just do it today. Don't wait.
Awesome. So if you guys are in apartments, management, okay, TurnServe, TURNSERV.com. Thank you so much for being here, Tyler. I appreciate you. Say bye to everybody.
Hey, guys, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I started in the silence, behind closed doors. Dreams too loud to keep tucked in the floorboards. Late nights, broke days, no applause in sight. Just coffee, hustling that fire to fight. They said, play small, but I'm built to expand. No silver spoon, just grit in my hand. I wore every note like armor and steel. Visibility's a battle, but I'm real and I heal. From invisible threads to the front of the stage, I'm rewriting the script, turning scars into page. Level up, rise above the fear. Let them hear your voice, make your purpose clear. Every step, every stumble, every tear in the rough. You were made for this moment, you are enough. Level up, break through the doubt. Turn the whispers of your past into a victory shout. You ain't just chasing clout, you're building a legacy. Now the world's gonna see what they couldn't believe. Yeah, what they couldn't believe. See the back end, just a headline glow. But success is built slow, where the struggle don't show. Algorithms change, but your mission's divine. You're the brand, you're the vision, you're the power behind. You gave free just to prove you have value inside. Now it's invoices paid and your name amplified. You're not just in business, you're changing the game. And your visibility, that's more than a name. No more shrinking, this is expansion. No more asking, this is commanding. You've been the spark, now you're the flame. Entrepreneur by fire, fueled by name. Level up, rise above the fear. Let them hear your voice, make your purpose clear. Every step, every stumble, every tear in the rough. You were made for this moment, you are enough. Level up, break through the doubt. Turn the whispers of your past into a victory shout. You ain't just chasing clout, you're building a legacy. Now the world's gonna see what they couldn't believe. What they couldn't believe. To the late nights, the lost friends, the risks you took, to the brand you built and the space you shook. Here's your crown, your moment, your spotlight beam. You didn't just chase the dream, you became the dream.